what is Beyond Two Souls?
Mm-hmm.
What is it about? Because that's a question I had through the entire game is, what is the plot of this game? Because it doesn't seem like there's a plot. There's a character arc.
Kinda.
And in a way, I think that's kind of cool because this feels filmic in that way where there's a lot of like art house cinema where you're not there to watch a plot happen.
Okay.
You're just there to be in a space with characters.
Okay.
I went through a phase in college where I watched a lot of, there was this like new wave of Australian cinema with a lot of just characters being sad in the desert and bad things happening to them. And there were parts of this game that reminded me of that. And I think that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're here for a plot, it seems like you're here for the last half hour or so.
Yeah.
When things happen.
Much. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're seeing a series of vignettes of this Jodie character.
Yep. She's going through some stuff.
Yeah, and
you push the buttons.
It does this really odd thing where you can either play it in order, or you can play it in the other order.
Yep.
Like the intended order. And you actually played the sequential one first, right?
Yep, that's right. I did.
What made you do that? What's the...
Yeah, I guess when I recall, from what I recall of reading reviews or listening to reviews back in the day when the game first came out, like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember them saying that the scatterbrain structure didn't always make sense or feel like it meant anything or lent anything to the general experience.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna completely take that out of the equation and see what things are like A to B. But even when you choose sequential order, not everything is sequential. You start.
Oh. Okay.
You start where she walks into a police officer, and he has her in his office.
Yeah.
That's how you start, and then it goes back to her as a little child, and then it goes sequential up until towards the very end of the chapter before the last chapter.
Okay.
You play as her as a little girl again.
Which I gotta point out, I think this is a good point. This is just Stranger Things, the video game.
It's over.
There are so many similarities.
Really?
It's crazy.
Like, what are we talking?
We're talking a little girl with psychic powers, whose mother showed hints of psychic powers. So they took her away from the mother and then put the mother in a catatonic state, and then they had the little girl in a facility and they were training her to harness her powers, but then she uses those powers and they want to use it for military purposes.
Yep.
So she escapes, and then a cop finds her, and the cop takes her in and questions her, and then they're looking for her, and then there's a portal to the other world, which is where all these spirits are coming from. The spirits inhabit the place they're in.
Yep.
And so on and so on, and it's just like, this is just Stranger Things. It's crazy.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
And it came out before Stranger Things.
Yeah. I mean, all of those points are, just beat for beat Stranger Things.
But
in this game.
Really, what I'm getting at, I guess, is that I don't think Beyond has any original ideas.
Okay.
Or at least I didn't recognize any.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot of original ideas going on.
No.
There's plenty of plot convenience and plenty of Deus Ex Machina going on.
Okay.
But there's plenty of other, movies and stories that suffer from those same issues, so that's not a huge deal.
No. I actually really liked the story up until probably the last third.
Okay.
I think the last third is a complete mess, but I think the moments... Well, and I guess we're kind of talking about two different things, but you've played it through both ways, right?
Yes,
okay.
I did.
Yeah. And the last third kind of just plays out in order anyway, it seems like. So I was with it for a while, if only because it was so audacious in what it was doing. In terms, not in terms of gameplay, but in terms of setting and what you're doing. Yeah. If that makes sense, I guess.
Okay.
The highlight for me was Navajo, which I think most people don't like. Is kind of my... I think that's where a lot of people were like, oh, this just went off the rails and it's nonsense. But I was into it.
I liked the beginning of the Navajo chapter.
Yeah.
Because she's just like wandering into these American Indians' household. And then she's just like seeing a slice of their life, and they live out in the middle of the desert. And then she's just seeing what's going on, and then it gets pretty ridiculous pretty fast.
It does, but not in the way that like David Cage games generally do, right? Because did you ever play Fahrenheit or whatever? What's that game?
No, I haven't. Yeah, Indigo Prophecy.
Indigo Prophecy, yeah. Pretty sure that game ends with the internet becoming like a physical manifestation and attacking you or something.
That's awesome.
Or like an internet cult, and they like summon demons through the internet or something. That's some David Cage game, I don't know. And he did that game with like David Bowie where you are dead or something.
Really? I'm not aware of this one.
David Cage is a crazy person. So when in this game where you have a spirit with you the entire time, it wasn't so crazy to me to have it. It was actually kind of interesting to me to have it have this other spin on it where it's the same concept but through a different lens.
Okay.
I'm sure it's insensitive in some ways that I'm not aware of because I don't know anything about that culture. But
yeah. Okay, so my first point here is that I really thought the whole war situation was dumb.
Are we talking where you go into...
I'm talking when you go into Middle Eastern country X.
Yes. I hated that entire level so much.
Yes, I disliked it very much.
Terrible.
You can't speak... Jodie cannot speak a word of the language she is immersed in.
Yeah, she doesn't know anything.
She's a freaking CIA agent. And I looked this up. There's actually a specific institution that teaches CIA agents languages that they're going to be immersed in. It's called the Defense Language Institute.
Right.
And apparently she doesn't know a word of it.
Yeah.
And I can't excuse that she doesn't know who the president of Somalia is, and she kills him?
Yep.
Do presidents in Somalia not matter?
Yep.
What are you trying to say, David Cage?
Or, the thing that broke me was, here's a child soldier.
Yep.
I'm gonna bring him with me. For no reason. Through this war zone. And they can't talk, but he responds like he knows what she's saying. Because she's like, come on with me. And he's like, okay. But he's like speaking, some other language. But he's like responding to her in the way you would. It's so stupid. And then it becomes Uncharted 4 for a while.
Yeah, I feel like the CIA stuff, it's almost a game. And I feel like it could have been a really cool game if someone other than Quantic Dream was making it.
Aww. I was thinking about that, and to me, it's like it almost becomes a game just enough where if it was any more of that, it would get so repetitive and boring. Okay. Because really, are you talking about like, okay, use Aiden to scout ahead and then kind of go through cover type of thing? Because that's kind of cool. It's an interesting idea, and there's just enough of it where it's like, okay, I get it. And then you don't really do it anymore. Where if it was like 8 hours of that, I'd be like, oh, no, thank you. Okay. So the Aiden stuff, the Aiden power stuff, frustrated me, especially the longer I played. Yeah. Because his powers are very inconsistent and sporadically limited. Okay. You can choke some people, you can possess some people. Yep. You can conjure information from some things and some dead people. Yep. You can freely navigate some of the time. Yep. And there's a little throwaway line of dialogue that it can't go too far away because it hurts, but it still does it anyways in some situations. Yep. And yeah, I thought that was frustrating, and I felt like they really, with how scripted everything is, they really could have, not had you do the same thing over and over and over with Aiden in certain scenarios. You're saying like, just create a scenario where Aiden does something cool. And it's not a gameplay thing because this is such a scripted game, but you can just do it and just like have a series of those over the course of the game. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because really, you're just looking for nodes in the environment and then interacting with them. Yes. And you do that in the first level, and it's the same at the end of the game. Yep. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, it's strange. I don't
completely understand why they went that route, but it's the route they went.
There's instances, I think, where it works. Wow, it's so inconsistent, though. It doesn't make a lot of sense, because you'll use him. The example that stands out to me is little girl Jody is in the room that she lives in, basically. Yep. And then you can go across the one-way mirror, and then you can hear them talking about her.
Yeah.
And you get information that you wouldn't otherwise have, and it's interesting. And in that moment, it's like, okay, this is a cool idea in a narrative game to be able to absorb information, because it's basically a vessel for that.
Definitely.
Or it could have been, if the game was built around it better, to allow you to get selective pieces of information from the environment as it plays out, because it's not like Life is Strange where you can rewind time.
Yeah.
So they could have conversation happening here and conversation happening here, and you can only hear one of them. But they never do that.
Nope.
It's because if you don't do that, you're just Jody sitting in a room,
yep,
staring, and then does she know that information? I feel like that's really not established well.
Yeah, that's not clear either.
Because it doesn't seem like it, really.
Yeah.
But then she uses Aiden to like scout ahead, so obviously she does know, or he like talks to her maybe and tells her things.
Yeah. There's like points where he makes noises and then she like talks back to him.
Yeah.
And then you can go through walls. They make it very clear.
Oh, here we go.
Entities can go through walls.
Close the door before the enemy
there's
comes.
Containment fields because we need you to do something before you can get further the plot.
Yep.
We had to inject 20 more minutes of gameplay here.
Yep. Yeah, it's stupid. You can't go through certain walls, and then it's so stupid when at the end they're like, get the door down before the enemies come, and they can go through walls.
Yeah, the enemy entities are so inconsistent, and I don't understand what they were going for with those, because they open the containment things. What are they called? Giant...
The portals, the condenser or something.
Yeah, condensers. Yep, you got it. The condensers. And then all these black things start like swirling around. And then they kill people and they possess some people, but only around the condensers. But then they don't do that around the huge condenser at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And then, like, there's a part where the black things are like attacking Jody.
Right.
Or when she's like homeless, and then you have to like, as Aiden, keep them off of her, but wouldn't they be attacking other people too? Or what's going on?
Yep.
I don't understand.
I don't know. Well, okay. A lot of this game doesn't make a lot of sense, and I can see what they were going for, but it's like, it's kind of messy. Is there a part of this game that really stood out to you, like you were into it and engaged with it? Because for me, that would be Navajo, that would be the homeless stuff, up to a point.
Yep.
I think some of that was done really well, and I think some of it was done really, really poorly.
I think playing it chronologically first is what made it really stand out to me or what made me not really enjoy very much of any of it.
Okay.
Because you're playing as a little girl for a while, and then you're like, okay, this is just establishing... I guess her powers and her childhood, and she goes through random emo phase because she's a teenage girl, I guess.
I really liked that part, though. I thought that was done really, really well, where she's just like angry and she's just like, Rah! She just kind of yells at him.
Yeah.
And she's like all punked out.
And then you get raped because rape is bad.
See, rape is bad.
Yeah.
For the record. I thought are you talking in the pool hall?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty tense and like effective up to a point.
Yeah. I guess I just feel like the people who wrote this game wanted to incorporate emotional and sensitive topics just for the sake of it, since it's a cheap way of making your story-based game seem interesting or make it seem like it's tackling difficult issues. But they have nothing to say about them. I was sitting there waiting for messages. They have you kill a little boy's father in the Middle East, but you never understood a word he said, but he understands you. There's no emotional connection to be had with him. other than, isn't it so sad that this is a child soldier involved in a war, and aren't you supposed to be sad that you killed his dad?
Well, what I think they wanted it to do was set up her anger during the betrayal.
Yeah, but the betrayal's also so dumb because the inciting incident is that she killed the president and she didn't know who the president was. And that causes half of the game's events to happen because she doesn't know who the president of Somalia was.
I also find her relationship with Ryan to be very suspect. Very suspect. Because again, what they could have done is use this like scattered timeline to contrast her anger towards him with this date they're going on at her apartment and be like, what happened? Why is this cool now? But it never really gets there. It's just now she likes him, now she doesn't. Now she does, now she doesn't. And I would say they never give you a reason to believe that she actually likes him because he's kind of a dick the entire game and you never really see whatever, she sees in him.
Yeah.
Which is so odd because it's so much of her life. You would think they would include that, but...
Yeah, the scattered timeline thing could have been cool in execution or cool on paper, but the way that they handled it, I feel like they really mismanaged how they did it. It could be fun. It can be fun piecing together like the chronology in your head and being like, okay, she's kind of this old here, and then she's kind of this old here, but she looks the same for a wide swath of it, and in every chapter she just like changes clothes, so it's not like you can really tell. And you got different haircuts, I guess. Yeah. And then it grows back pretty fast.
I think the two things that accomplishes, that it actually accomplishes, is one that's not actually much of an accomplishment, which is it shows you the end where it's like this apocalyptic scenario. And that's pretty early on where it shows you that. And you go through the entire game expecting that to happen. Yeah. And it doesn't. Which is...
Until the end again.
Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
In a way, like, I don't know. I kind of see what they were going for there, where you think this story is going to conclude this way and then it doesn't, but then it does later on.
Yeah.
I don't know. The other one, I guess, is just Willem Dafoe's character, I think, actually benefits from it because you get glimpses of his deterioration, basically, and you don't really get the motivating factor until the very end of the game.
Yeah. And the way that they cut up and divvy out the chapters is strange because they cut them up in such a way that once you get towards the end, when Willem Dafoe becomes sort of the bad guy,
kind of,
they cut the chapters in such a way that you see what's wrong with him.
Yeah.
Or you see the phone call where he finds out his children died.
Right.
His daughter and wife.
Fam.
Yeah, his family died. And then he's really sad and angry and bitter. And then, but you're playing as child Jody when that happens.
Right.
And there's other chapters where Willem Dafoe, like, he's dropping you off at a party and he's really nice and he's like treating you like you're his daughter and he's happy. And
isn't that creepy though?
It's fine.
I think that's what they were going for though. It
was creepy?
Yeah, where you are basically his surrogate daughter, and then that all kind of becomes very clear at the end, even though they hinted at it so strongly.
Okay.
They could have done it better, but it does, I think, work in that it shifts your understanding of their relationship. But not as much as it would have if they had played that off better about you being his surrogate daughter.
Okay.
They just make it so obvious, where it's like, okay, yeah. But it also seems for most of the game that he actually cares about you. And then at the end it's like, no, it doesn't, nothing, everything's stupid.
Yeah.
The only person who cares about you is the black guy, and then...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. I feel like they were just throwing these plot points in there because, like I said, don't childhood soldiers suck? Doesn't war in the Middle East suck? They have you be homeless because isn't being homeless bad? And then they have you deliver a baby to a homeless woman But these things just happen.
That's kind of cool, though.
There's no dramatic weight or subtlety. You're just homeless because homelessness sucks. You're delivering a baby because isn't becoming a parent so emotional?
It's like it's just
you're interacting.
The song.
You're interacting with American Indians because aren't they just the kind of honest, hard workers that you would find on a farm in the middle of nowhere?
They're not trusting of outsiders.
Isn't their simple life so honorable? Weren't their ancestors and their religion so barbaric?
Yeah, and then the white man.
Yeah, the old
Civil
American
War
Indians
white
were
man.
just so filled with hatred for the white man, and it overcame them.
Yeah. But then the same thing happens today.
Yeah. And then there's Jodie's mom, which you mentioned is basically a vegetable.
Yeah.
And I guess she's empty because they want us to feel experiments are bad, and the people who do experiments are really mean, but also they're not mean because Jodie's experimenters are kind of nice.
But
at least the one guy is.
They're not military, man. They're doing it for themselves, but then they're doing it for themselves.
Whoa.
Everyone's bad.
I miss you so much.
One thing that I was thinking about throughout a lot of this game is how you handle a narrative based around someone having powers, or in Jodie's instance, fancy entity.
Yeah.
Because usually these things revolve around science experiment. A lot of, superhero things are just experiments because a lot of the time you've got humans combining things that aren't often combined in nature. So that causes crazy power to happen. And then I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, okay, it was an experiment, but no, her mom had the powers, so it was her experiment, but no, she had powers, and I guess the powers trace back to the Native American savages opening this portal.
Well,
and then there was this long period of time where there weren't entities, or no one knew about it.
but now everyone is knowing about it at once for some reason.
Yeah.
Like are those supposed to be Koreans? I didn't understand exactly what was going on in the...
Oh, I don't know. They needed exciting underwater action sequence.
Yeah, driving that sub.
Yeah.
While no one moves, while you're just like static image of you as you drive through a trench. Yep, it's good.
And then you have crazy intense fight scene with a guy like slamming a wrench down, and then he's about to kill you, but nope. Here comes the thing from the portal, and it stabs him in the chest so you can get away. Yeah,
but I mean, you're so negative, Crispin. I feel like these action scenes would be in any game, and it would just be like, okay, this is what's happening now.
Yeah, that's like an instance of Deus Ex Machina. So, like I said in the beginning, that's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's more of like a style. I mean, Joey could have just like kicked him in the shin or something, but they're like, no, the monster came and...
What I do have a problem with is they do a pretty good job of working up this tension. You got these crazy things going down, like you're getting chased by the cops, or you're getting chased by the cops, and
yep.
Like it puts you in these like tough scenarios, but whenever something dangerous is about to happen, she just says, "Save me, Aiden," and then everything's fine.
Yeah, he makes a bubble shield around her, and then she runs through the gunfire. And
runs through bullets, and then
do that earlier, but
I guess she can do it now because Aiden's her bud.
I need to be out of this plane now, so hope you're ready.
Exactly.
What the hell is going on? I'm wandering around her apartment for about 20 minutes looking for a pair of shoes. Woman doesn't own any shoes.
What?
She's trying to get ready for this fancy date. She's in a nice dress and she's barefoot and there's no shoes anywhere.
Oh. Do you wear shoes in your own apartment?
If I'm on a nice date with someone, I'm not going to be in a dress and barefoot. You know what I'm
saying? I guess.
I mean
that makes sense, but why would you dress up in your own home?
Because I was trying to impress Ryan. I just want Ryan to like me.
Yeah, little hot tip for you.
Yeah.
You cannot sleep with Ryan unless you did not have an attempted rape at the bar scene earlier.
Unless you did not. Oh, because she's messed up. Yeah, but then he just leaves.
Yep.
It's like, do not be interested in this man.
Yeah.
It's so awkward. He's just like, maybe I should go.
Yeah.
Fade to black. The ending is wild, sort of. It tries to be wild. I feel like it's trying to do like the Bioshock thing, the Bioshock Infinite thing, where it's like, at the end, we're just gonna go crazy, but it doesn't go that crazy, so it's just kind of like. I was upset. I find this game's views on suicide to be very questionable.
Yeah.
Where Willem Dafoe shoots himself in the head, and then
that's the good version of that.
Ellen Page is like happy, and she's like, "Oh, he's with them now."
Yeah.
He's like, "Thank you, Jodie. You showed me the way."
Yeah, I watched some of the behind the scenes stuff, and apparently, the inciting incident that got David Cage to write this game was someone close to him dying. He's like, I wanted to write a story where these people who died were still with me. They were still here. And so I wrote Beyond Two Souls.
I am David Cage.
Just look at my work. I work with Ellen Page. I love the gays.
It is like racism, but they are the robots.
Good job. Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And then did you... It's like, choose life. Don't choose life. Why would you not choose life? You're going to die anyway and go to the other place, so what kind of choice is this? Your naked brother is standing there, and he's happy to see you.
Yeah.
Do you want to go hang out with the mom in the wheelchair and your naked brother, or do you want to hang out in the actual world?
There's, if you choose life and alone...
That's what I did.
Yeah, you get, she walks around and starts seeing dead people.
Yes.
Because I guess that's a thing she can do now, but it's not really relevant except for very small instances.
That was the only ending that made any sense to me.
Okay.
When it presents the choices.
Yeah, because the dead people thing, like in that alone ending, she's walking and there's dead people everywhere, and she's like, I see them all the time. They're around everywhere. They're around all of us.
Help!
And then, like, you only see dead people after you leave Navajo, because you see dead grandma and dead dad if he died. Which
they did not do a good job of at all, because I thought it was a glitch.
Yeah,
I thought it was like the game forgot.
Exactly. It looks like the game forgot.
It's not what you want.
No, it's not what you want. And then the only other time where I feel like they really established that is the scene where you're her when she's little and you're seeing Willem Dafoe's mom and daughter, or wife and daughter.
And that was kind of cool.
But they established that right before the last scene so that you can understand that she sees dead people, I guess. But she's little in that scene, so she's never seen these dead people for like the rest of the game.
Yeah.
She's not seeing dead people.
I guess I didn't take it that way.
Okay.
But I guess I didn't take it anyway because none of them make sense. I just took it as she can see Willem Dafoe's family because it's like this crucial moment and she just has like this connection. And then when she sees dead people at the end, I figured that was because they're still experimenting with this stuff and stuff was starting to leak into the world.
Yeah.
Because then it goes on to be like she's the road warrior and she has to close this giant portal in the middle of Philadelphia or something. It's not like they're going to make a sequel.
No, they're not, no.
Why save your big dramatic moment for something that doesn't actually happen in the game?
Good question. That's an excellent question. And then when you're homeless...
Yeah.
You're homeless, and then that's when they establish that you can touch people's hands and then like channel other people.
Yeah,
and you like touch nice homeless man's hands, and then her eyes roll in the back of her head, and she's got this creepy smile on her face, and she's sitting there saying, "I love you, I miss you,
dinner's ready."
Oh, it's so creepy. And then he starts like crying happy tears. I'm like, what are you doing? Get this lady away from you. You've known her for a day. She gave you money to buy chocolate for dinner.
That black homeless man is something.
That's right.
I don't have much to say about him, but wow.
Jesus Christ, girl. We ain't got nothing here.
Neither did David Cage.
Okay.
We
I was really disappointed they do that channeling dead people thing again, and it's the same scene.
Yep.
It's just Willem Dafoe is the happy, the nice homeless man.
Yep.
Except he's a little more angry about it. He's like, keep talking.
Yep. And there's bullies that beat up nice homeless man, and they're recording it for some reason.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
What are you trying to say?
Would flush the cockroaches out, man.
Yeah. It's like David Cage is trying to say that how good of a person you are is directly related to how little money you have.
Yeah, it's this very naive and simple view of like homelessness
and suicide.
And basically every subject in this game, but I think there are dramatic moments that work. They're just very few and far between. I think the party scene is kind of effective, except for the terrible acting that kind of sinks it. But in a game with better acting or directing, perhaps that would have been really cool.
Yeah, or a better setup even.
Yeah, it kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, they call you a whore for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, you can kiss the dude.
I didn't.
Dude that advances you.
Yeah.
And in that situation, it would make sense. But he also turns on you in that situation. He's like, yeah, show us your power. What about it?
Yeah.
And then if you don't, then, or even if you do, they're like, oh, she's a witch, or she's a whore witch. And then they throw her in the closet.
Yeah.
Or under the stairs.
It felt
because
like
she's Harry Potter.
That's right. And then Dudley stomps on it.
Yeah. Why is that a thing? Do people have these things under their stairs?
I used to at my old house, yeah.
Okay.
That whole thing felt like in a Telltale game where you can tell the logic just kind of splits.
Yep.
Where you're like having a nice conversation with something, and then you get to the point where he's supposed to be angry, and all of a sudden he's like, "No, shut up!"
Yep.
It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. Very Telltale-ish, this game, but I feel like Telltale games control better because it's very hard to control Jodie in this game and get her to go through doorways or walk in a straight line. I would prefer the Resident Evil tank controls.
Yeah, I was thinking that while playing this game.
You at least know you're pointing in a direction and you can move in that direction, but I was drunk Jodie for most of this game where I'm just like, whoa.
Exactly, yeah. Because I select a direction that I want to move in, and then it'll take her 2 seconds to turn around, and I'll be like, no, wait, I didn't want to go that way. Yeah. And it'll take her 2 more seconds to turn back around.
Aiden doesn't control very well.
No. It's a cool idea.
Right, in an interesting, good game, I think it elevates this game to a certain extent that it's in there. Yeah. But it's handled poorly, so it actually kind of makes it bad because you don't want to be Aiden. It doesn't feel powerful.
Yeah. And they let you be Aiden a lot. They could have done all kinds of things with Aiden. There's scenarios where bad things are happening to Jodie, and it's pretty... Yeah, or there's situations where Aiden isn't helping her, and you could be they could have programmed the game to be oh, I noticed that something bad is happening. I could be Aiden right now and get her out of this scenario.
Yep.
And they could just have you, boop, press triangle, choke the person who's attacking you, done.
Yeah.
And that could be a branching path.
Zero agrees.
Exactly. Thank you, Zero.
Just let you be Aiden even in cutscenes.
Yeah.
That would have been better.
Yeah. That would have been neat.
Don't have cutscenes. Well, I guess you kind of have to have cutscenes in a game like this, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so many instances where if it was the game part of the game, it would be okay, now I'm Aiden and I'm helping, but it's a cutscene, so Jodie gets punched in the face or something, and there's nothing you can do because they have a very specific story they want to tell.
Yeah.
And they're going to tell their story, and you can go along with it or not, but you can't actually affect it much.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
So, where do you think this guy sockets, man?
I don't know. I do like this game.
Yeah.
I enjoyed playing it.
Yeah.
I gotta bring up my list. Oh boy, oh boy. I think we're gonna disagree.
Yeah. I mean, you talked me up enough that I feel comfortable putting it right above Star Fox Adventures.
Nice. Okay. So we're saying Sonic Triple Trouble is a better game than Beyond Two Souls.
I liked it more, yeah.
Okay. Sonic 1, better.
Yeah, And that's where would you put it?
Personally?
Yep.
Maybe between Sonic and Resident Evil?
Yeah, that's where you would put it?
Because Sonic's like a game you can play and have fun. And Resident Evil is a game you can play and not really have that much fun.
Yeah. It controlled better.
Yeah, yeah.
Yikes. That's a nightmare.
I don't know.
Okay.
If I hadn't been so disappointed in the last third, I feel like I would be more up on this game, but I feel like everything it sets up, it just throws away by the end of the game, so it's kind of hard to defend it.
Yeah.
Too much.
I'm okay putting it above Vanquish and kind of
yeah, I was thinking about that.
averaging it in between.
No, I guess I would rather play... I don't really ever want to play Vanquish again.
Yeah.
I don't really want to play this game ever again either. I can't believe you played it twice.
Yeah, twice in like a half, because I had to like go back to past chapters, or like there's a trophy for sleeping with Ryan, so I had to go back to Jody Emo chapter and not have the rape scenario. Yeah. And then play through the rest of the game until it got to Ryan dinner scene again.
Gross.
Stuff like that.
Do you think it's... Is it fair to say that you played this game in a way most people wouldn't play it, and that might be coloring your
perception I think that would probably be fair to say. I would probably play it in the disoriented order if I was just going to play it and be done with it.
I just mean like 2 times.
Yeah, that too. Yep.
In a short amount of time. Like, there's no way you can make me do that right now.
Yeah. I was kind of begrudging going through that second playthrough, but podcasts helped me get through it.
Everybody walks so slow.
They do. Yep. And I was like going through the game in my head and being like, oh, I'm gonna have to go through all this again, all this again, all this again, all this again.
We gotta go get the groceries, then we gotta bring them back, then we gotta go to the house. Now the house is on fire, now we gotta get out of the house, now we gotta fight the guys.
Exactly.
And it's like 10 minutes of that game.
Yeah. Yep.
Can you skip
so where are we putting it? No, you cannot. You cannot skip anything.
Great.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Christian, I'm gonna let you put this wherever you feel is appropriate, because I don't have that strong as far as ranking it, I don't have a strong
opinion. Well, I did play through this game about 2.5 times, and I did not play through Vanquish 2.5 times.
Okay.
I'm okay putting it between Resident Evil and Vanquish.
How about I meet you halfway and we put it between Vanquish and Star Fox Adventures?
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Vanquish has that robot that shoots a ton of rockets at
that's
you,
true.
and you like slide on your knees, so that's kind of a better game, right?
But Beyond has a scene where you have to contemplate jumping off into a bunch of oncoming cars.
I thought that looked kind of cool.
Yeah, that was cool. But then you also see this knife sitting in a tire, and you contemplate killing yourself in front of a bunch of people.
Below Vanquish.
Yay!
Okay.
Wow.
Whew.